He said it so casually, as if he were commenting on the weather, as if his words weren't about to detonate the life I had built piece by fragile piece. "Luna's back," he said coldly. "Let's call off the wedding." For a moment, everything inside me went silent, still, frozen. And then slowly, a laugh rose in my throat. Not hysterical, not broken, but sharp. A laugh that tasted like disbelief and betrayal. I sneered, because he had no idea how insane he was. No idea what was really about to happen. No idea that Luna's return wasn't the beginning of his freedom, but the beginning of his downfall. For 3 long seconds, I just stared at Adrian, letting the weight of his words hang between us like a blade suspended midair. The restaurant buzzed with soft music and warm conversations, but around us, a hollow quiet formed, as if the world itself was stepping away from the collision about to occur. His expression didn't change. His blue eyes that once warmed whenever they saw me, now held the distant chill of someone who had made up his mind long before he opened his mouth. He wasn't confused. He wasn't emotional. He was certain, and that certainty hurt more than the words. "Say it again," I murmured, my voice too steady, too calm for the earthquake rumbling beneath my ribs. He exhaled, looking anywhere but at me. "Luna is back, and I need to think. We need to call off the wedding." There it was, we. As if I had promised myself to him only to be dismissed like a meeting he suddenly didn't feel like attending. My heart didn't break, it clenched, hard, then relaxed with a kind of sharp clarity I hadn't felt in months, maybe years. "You need to think," I repeated slowly. "About what exactly? Whether you want me or her?" His jaw tightened. "It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple." He flinched. A small thing, barely noticeable, but enough to confirm what I already knew. He wasn't calling off the wedding for closure. He wasn't calling it off for answers. He was calling it off because the moment. Luna's name resurfaced. All his doubts he thought he buried, rose up like ghosts demanding to be heard. I sat back, eyeing him, suddenly seeing him not as the man I loved, but as a man I observed. A man who had relied on me to glue his pieces together, yet never realized I was breaking myself in the process. "When did you find out?" I asked. "Yesterday. And you didn't tell me until now?" "I needed time to process." I let out a breathy laugh. "Right. Time to look at our wedding invitations and wonder if you should still marry me." His shoulders stiffened. "Don't make this harder than it already is." "You're ending our engagement," I snapped softly. "How much harder do you expect it to get?" A flash of guilt flickered across his face. "Eve, please understand." Luna disappeared without any explanation. She left me with questions I never got to ask. "I can't marry you while a part of me is still unresolved." That word unresolved stabbed, deeper than any knife. For years I had accepted being second to a memory. I knew he loved me, but I also knew he had loved her first. I told myself it didn't matter, that love wasn't a race, that what we had was real. But now as he stood there, choosing her over me without hesitation, I wondered if I had misread the entire story. Maybe I had always been a temporary shelter, a safe place for him to rest, until the storm named Luna returned. I rose from my chair slowly, feeling the ground tilt under my feet. "Adrian," I said, looking him dead in the eyes, "I helped you rebuild your life. I held you through every nightmare she left behind. If you think you can throw all of that away for a ghost—" "She's not a ghost anymore," he interrupted. "Oh, she's much worse," I whispered. He blinked. "What?" "Nothing," I said, turning away. "Go talk to her, find your closure, or your chaos. I won't be here when you're done." I didn't wait for him to follow, to apologize, or to pretend he was torn. I walked out of the restaurant and into the cold night, letting the wind bite my cheeks until the sting grounded me. The city lights blurred, people walked by in a rush, cars honked distantly, but all I heard was his voice replaying on a loop. "Luna's back. Let's call off the wedding. Luna's back. Luna's back." In my apartment I moved like someone drifting between dreams and nightmares. I opened my closet, pulled out suitcases and began packing, not out of heartbreak but out of instinct. Because I knew Luna. Not personally, but through the stories Adrian told during his weakest moments. The way he described her: beautiful, unpredictable, intense. A force of nature didn't scare me. What scared me was the way everyone else described her. Manipulative, dangerous, obsessed. People like Adrian saw her fire and called it passion. People like me knew it for what it was, destruction wrapped in charm. I folded my clothes, my hands working faster the more I thought. Luna didn't return for love. She returned for something else, something she lost, something she needed. And if Adrian thought she had come back to reclaim him, he was more naive than I thought. My suitcase was half full when a sudden knock jolted me. A soft, frantic, repeated knock. Not Adrian's knock. My heart pounded as I opened the door, and froze. Luna stood in the dim hallway, hood pulled over her dark hair, breath rising in quick, visible puffs. She looked nothing like the mystical, untouchable woman Adrian had described. Her eyes were red, haunted. Her hands shook. She seemed less like a returning lover, and more like someone running for her life. "Eve," she whispered. "Please, I need to talk to you." Every alarm bell in my mind blared. She stepped closer. "I didn't come for Adrian." I narrowed my eyes. "Then why did you come?" "For you," she breathed urgently. "Because you're in danger, and Adrian is just the distraction." Cold ran through me like ice water. "What are you talking about?" I demanded. She swallowed hard, eyes darting down the hallway as if someone might leap out at any moment. "Hez coming," she whispered, "and he won't stop until he gets what he wants." "Who?" Luna's lips trembled as she whispered the name. The moment it left her tongue, every hair on my arm stood up, and in that instant I realized Adrian wasn't insane for calling off the wedding. He was clueless. Clueless about the storm that was already closing in. Clueless that his world and mine was about to unravel. And I was the only one ready to survive it. Luna's warning wasn't just fear, it was desperation. The kind of desperation only someone being hunted carries. And as she spoke, shivering under the morning light, I realized the truth Adrian never saw. He wasn't the main character in this story. He was the collateral. Because the danger coming for me had nothing to do with love triangles or broken engagements. It was something darker. Something that Luna had escaped once, and barely. When she whispered the name of the man behind it all, I felt my blood turn to ice. And Adrian, in all his arrogance, was walking right into the enemy's hands. The name Elias Crow lingered in the air like a curse. Even hearing it felt dangerous. Elias wasn't the type of person you talked about at normal volume. People lowered their voices around his name, triple-checked their locks, and changed their routes home. He wasn't a villain from the shadows, he was a ruler of them. And according to Luna, he had set his eyes on me. Not for revenge, but for leverage. I stared at her, trying to make sense of her sharp breaths, the terror clinging to her skin, the way she kept glancing over her shoulder as if someone had been following her all the way here. "You should have told me the moment you came back," I said quietly, struggling to keep my voice steady. "Adrian wouldn't have—" "No," she cut in, gripping my wrist tightly. "You don't understand. If I contacted you, Elias would have found me sooner. He wants you because of what you did in court. Because your testimony cost him millions. Connections power. You humiliated him, Eve. Men like him don't forgive humiliation. They erase it." Her words sank heavy and sharp into my spine. I remembered the case, a corporate fraud lawsuit that spiraled into something much uglier. I didn't know at the time that Elias owned the company involved, or that my statements would be the linchpin that prosecutors needed to expose illegal operations. I never imagined that speaking the truth in a courtroom would paint a target across my life. "And Adrian?" I asked, voice barely a whisper. "He thinks I came back for him," Luna said with a bitter shake of her head. "Eve, he has no idea has already being used." A heavy silence settled between us. I didn't want to care. I should have been furious at Adrian, should have let him walk into the storm he chose, but even after everything, the idea of him being dragged into Elias' world twisted something inside me. I wasn't heartless. I wasn't like Elias. And Luna knew that. "We have to warn him," I finally said. Luna nodded. "I was hoping you'd say that." We left immediately, moving quickly through the city streets. Luna led the way, her hood low, her steps fast but cautious, her eyes constantly scanning. Every part of her body screamed survival instinct. I had spent years comparing myself to her, thinking she was some mythical, irresistible force. But now, as she trembled beside me, I saw someone deeply human broken, hunted, still fighting. When we reached Adrian's penthouse, the door was slightly open. My stomach dropped. We exchanged a look before stepping inside. The place was a disaster cushion's throne. Drawers pulled apart. papers scattered like confetti after a violent celebration. A vase was shattered on the floor, water leaking slowly across the hardwood like blood from a wound. The sight made my breathing hitch. "Eve," Luna whispered, pointing toward the dining table. A note lay there, written in thick black ink. "If you want him alive, come alone. Midnight. Pier 17. EC." My heart jolted violently. Adrian had been taken, and Elias wanted me next. The message wasn't a threat. It was an invitation to a trap. But the cruelest part was that he knew I would come. "No," Luna breathed, shaking her head. "You can't go alone. That's exactly what he wants." "I don't have a choice," I said quietly. "If I bring anyone, hell kill Adrian before I even get there." "You owe him nothing," Luna hissed. "He threw you away the second I came back." "I know." My voice cracked. "But I'm not like him." Luna pressed her lips together, frustration trembling through her frame. "Then at least take something some kind of plan. I have one. Eve, trust me," I said softly. "You survived Elias because you ran." "I'm not running." She stared at me for a long moment before nodding slowly. "Fine. But when you walk away from that pier, you walk away with Adrian alive and without tying yourself to him again. He doesn't deserve that part of you." "I know," I whispered. The hours before midnight felt endless. I packed nothing. I armed myself not with weapons but with knowledge Elias never expected me to have. Before leaving, I contacted Detective Hale, the only person who believed the rumors surrounding Elias' empire. Luna gave him everything she had been hiding. If things went right, Elias would be surrounded before he even realized it. If things went wrong, I'd be dead. At 11:53 p.m., I arrived at Pier 17. Fog hung thick over the water, turning the lights into blurry halos. My footsteps echoed against the wooden planks as I walked deeper into the shadows. Then I saw him, Adrian, kneeling, hands tied, a bruise darkening his cheek. His eyes widened the second he saw me. "Eve, why did you come?" His voice cracked, thick with regret, fear, maybe even shame. I didn't answer, because the man stepping out of the fog commanded all my attention. Elias Crow. Tall, composed, wearing a tailored black coat, every inch of him radiating dangerous calm. His presence seemed to smother the air itself. His eyes cold steel locked onto me with a chilling satisfaction. "Ms. Hart," he drawled, the slightest smirk forming. "You made quite an entrance." "What do you want?" I asked, grounding my feet, forcing my voice not to tremble. "You," he replied simply. "I want control of the evidence you gave the prosecutors, and the rest I know you still have." I lifted my chin. "I don't have anything on me." "Of course not," he said with a soft laugh, "but you have it somewhere, and you're going to tell me. You think I'd give you anything?" I challenged. His gaze sharpened, not willingly, "But you do care about him." He nodded toward Adrian. "People like you always have weaknesses." He was wrong. I didn't come to beg. I didn't come to submit. I came because villains always underestimate the quiet ones. "I don't have to give you anything," I said calmly. "Your empire is already crumbling." His smile faltered. "You are losing your partners, your politicians, your money streams. The evidence I gave was just the beginning, and if you kill me, the rest of it gets released automatically." For the first time I saw it, a flicker of uncertainty. Fear. Real fear. "What did you do?" he whispered. I stepped forward. "I stopped being afraid of you." In that instant, sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder, closing in. Elias spun, fury erupting across his features. "You brought the police to me?" "No," I said softly. "The truth brought them." Lights exploded across the pier. Officers swarmed, shouting orders. Elias reached for Adrian, but I moved first, grabbing Adrian by the arm and dragging him towards safety. Shots rang out. Chaos erupted, but I didn't stop until we reached cover. Adrian stared at me, breath shaking. "Eve, I never should—" "It doesn't matter," I said. "You're alive. That's enough." As Elias was dragged away, screaming threats that no longer had power, I felt something deep inside me settle. Not revenge, not triumph. Freedom. When Luna appeared moments later, running toward us with tears in her eyes, I realized that this ending wasn't about losing Adrian. It was about choosing myself and surviving the storm. Meant I no longer belonged to the past. I stepped away from Adrian, toward Luna, toward my own future. Because love built on uncertainty breaks. But a woman who learns her worth, she never does.